What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Turf Talk, and today is a very exciting show as the NFL season is officially back and in full swing. A full slate of games to go over today, including our Eagles and Falcons pregame show that we will be getting into very shortly. I am your host, Dylan Davis. You can give me a follow on Twitter at DylanJD98, and my faithful co-host here on the Turf Talk, Scotty. Give him a follow on Twitter at Scotty John. And of course, Turf Talk is brought to you by DSM Media. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and hit that follow button on Twitter at DSM_media. You can also find us on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your content from, whatever social media you're on. We are on everything. Scotty, how are we feeling? Gint, what's going on? Game day, baby.
Yeah, man, it's game day. I'm majorly excited. I woke up nice and fresh. I couldn't meet you on the mimosas. I really wanted to. I was planning for it, but got a little caught up. So I'll stick with the Bud Light Lime for this morning. We'll go grab some more.
Now, listen, you guys can vote in the comments. I feel like mine's a little bit more socially acceptable. Little breakfast drink. Scotty's over here just pounding beers at 9 o'clock in the morning. So one side of it, one half of this show is socially acceptable. The other is just doing whatever the hell he pleases on game day. But it's all good.
Hey, it's Eagles game day. Let's get it started early. I'm really hyped, man. I'm ready for some questions to be answered. Early. I'm ready to see something here. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. Woke up with a lot of energy.
I couldn't sleep last night.
Yeah, man. I was
like, you ever had the nights you lay there and you try to fall asleep and you have so many things going on in your mind? All I could think about was today, what I was going to do in the morning, the Eagles, the show, everything like that. Before we get into, and guys, we're just going to touch on this for a few minutes, and then we'll get into our Eagles, Falcons, keys to the game, predictions, all that good stuff. So stay tuned for that in a minute. But before we get into that, some Cowboys Bucks talk. Great game to kick off the season. And then we have the Cool Cat 30. Should I play Montgomery, Mostert, or Mixon PPR league? Mostert would be out of that for me.
Great question. See, I'm on the other end of that, and I was actually going to talk about that, but yeah, Montgomery against the Rams. I don't know if I'm going.
I would probably lead Joe Mixon
because Mostert's going against the Lions today.
Yeah, but also Trey Sermon. Like a lot of people love Trey Sermon.
There, yeah. I feel you on that.
Yeah,
they do split carries.
I think Mixon gets the most touches. I think Mixon probably has the most success today. He's at home against Minnesota. I'd probably lean Joe Mixon, and he's the best running back of the three. So I would go there. Scotty got up, had a bowl of Cheerios, back to Bud Light Lime. Alpha move. I don't even think he had a bowl of Cheerios. I think he just went straight to the or some Bud Light Lime.
You can pour the Bud Light Lime in the Cheerios.
Yeah, I mean, I would not recommend that to anybody, but you could definitely try that out. But yeah, man, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this Bucks-Cowboys game for just a few minutes here. What was the final score? 31-29. Very exciting game. A lot of offense. The quarterbacks between Tom Brady and Dak combined for almost 800 passing yards. A lot of yards of total offense, and 2 field goals within the last minute and a half to change the tides. Obviously, Tampa Bay comes away with the win. First things first, out of my takeaways, the GOAT's the GOAT, bro. Like at age 44, it doesn't matter. Like you saw the video of him on the sidelines after Zerline hit the field goal to take the lead. He just looks over. All right, time to go. No time. Did they even have a timeout? They had one timeout left. They had to burn it to not have the 10-second runoff there with the false start. The GOAT's the GOAT. Like it's unbelievable.
It's crazy how hungry he still is, man. And, you mentioned him on the sidelines. That's what it's all about. That's what you want to see from your quarterback. And, you saw it down the stretch there. I know, there's not much the Cowboys could have done to run that clock out a little bit more. But, whenever you're giving Tom Brady back a minute plus, you got to be nervous. And you see Tom Brady at the end of the game. It's just a next level of smartness. Like, just, taking those extra snaps, throwing the ball out of bounds just to even take more time out. Like, you don't see a lot of teams doing stuff like that. And Tom Brady is just next level with it. No. It is insane.
And listen, we all know, we heard it years ago. I was like a freshman in college when I think Max Kellerman made the statement that he's going to fall off a cliff. And obviously at that time, no one believed it. But now here we are, like 4 or 5 years later, He's 44 years old, and it doesn't feel like he's anywhere close to the edge of the cliff. Dude, it's unfreaking believable. The whole team. Gronk goes into retirement. He comes out last year when he joined the Bucs. He was a nice addition. He scored twice in the Super Bowl, but it was like if he scored, that was one of his only receptions of the game. He goes out and has like 5-6 catches for 90 yards and a score or two on Thursday night. Antonio Brown catches a deep ball for a tutty from Tom. So everybody on that team just continues to play at a high level when you think they're done. And reversely, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. The other quarterback of this game,
of course,
Dak looked unreal, dude. Let's say what it is. I know Eagles fans aren't going to like to hear that, but he looked unfreaking believable. In the first half, he came up short with some throws. He had a couple throws behind and to the feet of, I think, CeeDee Lamb on both of them. Yeah. When he didn't fully deliver the ball and step into a throw. But other than that, the injuries didn't matter, bro. They didn't.
I even saw him get out of the pocket a few times, which is very, very, that's a good look if you're a Cowboys fan, especially to see him moving around. Yeah, Eagles Uncensored podcast. Guys, make sure you go subscribe to them. Love the support. Yes, we'll definitely have to collaborate sometimes, but thanks for tuning in, guys. But yes, one thing I wanted to touch on before we move to the Cowboys, actually, Antonio Brown and Gronk, they're looking refreshed. That's what's crazy about this. Last season, you could have said maybe washed, you know what I mean? Maybe for Gronk, not necessarily Antonio Brown, but he just didn't look like himself. His routes were crisp. Gronk was moving around like young Gronk, I should say, not old Gronk.
The play on the last drive when he broke a tackle or two and got it to the Cowboys like 40.
That's Gronk. That's the real Gronk. And he looks refreshed. He looks rejuvenated. I think the Super Bowl win, in their first season together in Tampa Bay just kind of uplifted them even more. Like, man, we can still play at this level, even in a different city. So definitely shout out to the Bucs. They're looking dangerous. But yes, Dak Prescott, man, the Cowboys went all in on the pass. They said, forget the run. And, I do want to give kudos to, Mike McCarthy or Kellen Moore, whoever decided to do that, because you're looking at the Bucs team from last year that had the #1 rushing defense in the NFL. You go out there with a game plan, you're going to air it out. And it shows how much faith they had in Dak. He's out there throwing 58 times. He came out after the game, said he's fine with that. And, people put him in that MVP running. That's a great way to start it. And you look on the outside, and we can relate to this directly because we're playing in fantasy this week.
Yeah.
I had CeeDee Lamb. You had Amari Cooper. Both of those guys went the hell off. Amari Cooper is still wide receiver 1. I will give you that. But both of those guys went over 100 yards. Amari had 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb had 1. So that offense, definitely scary. They lost Michael Gallup for a few weeks, so that might hamper them a little bit. They still got
except he didn't do anything.
I know.
Yeah, we got happy NFL Sunday. It's like a freaking holiday, dude.
It is, man.
Cool Cat 30. Jalen Hurts, big game incoming. I hope so because I have him in one of my fantasy leagues today, and I hope so for the Eagles' purposes. Last thing I'll mention on this Cowboys Bucs game, Gint says AB is going to be the best wideout in Tampa Bay. He looked unreal. Yeah, he did, dude. I had Godwin in one fantasy league. He looked really good, but also had some drops and had the late fumble, which almost killed them. Mike Evans was almost a non-factor. I don't know if he's banged up. I don't know what it was, but
somebody said he was getting. Somebody said, and mind you, I wasn't focusing on Mike Evans that entire game or anything like that. Somebody was on. There's a lot of people on Twitter saying he was getting locked up by Trayvon Diggs. So maybe Trayvon Diggs is a solid corner. Maybe that was happening.
Maybe Mike Evans did not put out a great showing for my top 10 wide receiving list that we did a couple weeks ago. And George Evans will have his games this year. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And again, the last thing I want to say is, man, the Cowboys are the Cowboys, bro.
They are, man.
Unreal. Listen, I know they're all out there, and they're throwing every number and statistical factor they can put out that Dak did and the offense did on Thursday night, and it's all great, except it means absolutely nothing in the win-loss column. Absolutely nothing. You know what's amazing? Their defense played better than I could have expected. Hell, they turned Tampa Bay over 4 times. Now, the Hail Mary to the end zone, we won't really count that one at the end of the half. Let's say they turned them over 3 times, 2 of which in Tampa Bay's inside Tampa Bay's 30 or 35 yard line, which, I know Dak and that offense looked amazing.
Yeah.
How many points they come away with on those 2 turnovers?
Yeah.
3 total or 6?
Yeah.
Not a touchdown on either one. Oh, no
No.
one wants to talk about that though, right? No. Okay. Last thing. They turned Tampa Bay over 4 times, and you still allowed 31 points. That's the point, guys. Dak looked awesome. We know what their offense is. No one questions that. But your numbers mean nothing to me when your defense continues to allow 30-plus points. How do you turn an offense over 4 times in a game and still allow over 30 points?
Yeah, I honestly, only the Cowboys could do it. That's all I can think. Only the Cowboys could do it.
The Falcons could probably do it, and hopefully
Falcons could do it. Yeah, they're one of those squads. But yeah, man, 4 turnovers and still over 30 points. I get it's Tampa Bay, but at the same time, Tampa Bay was looking a little rusty as well. You know, it's their first game of the season as well. And
let's see.
I don't look to every team to turn the ball over 4 times against the Cowboys.
Right.
So
and let's not. And that's another thing. That's a great point you made. I'm trying to give credit to them. I gave credit to Dak in the offense, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper.
You can only give so much credit for a loss.
Exactly. and here's the thing, Scott, that you point out. Listen, they played above my expectations. They did turn Tampa over 4 times, but let's examine the turnovers. There was 1 good turnover, 1 deserving turnover. The punch out on Ronald Jones, the first one.
Yeah.
The first pick was literally a slip screen to Leonard Fournette, and it goes off his fingertips into Dallas's hands. The other one was Chris Godwin trying to do too much inside the 3-yard line, doing a spin move towards the goal line, and then getting a helmet on the ball. And then the other one was the Hail Mary in the end zone. So you had 1 defensive effort turnover, I should say. Okay? And you still gave up 31 points. I have nothing else to say on the matter. I'm not going to take too long talking about the Dallas Cowboys losing a game on this week's episode of Turf Talk when the Eagles play in a couple hours. I just think it's funny because they try to throw every number they can in your face, and it means
except for that W column.
It means that.
And I'll kind of leave it at the same spot as you. Cowboys played really well, not good enough. Simple as that.
Simple as that, my man. And now, with that being said, let's go. Time for the Birds, Falcons preview today. Scott, we got a lot to get into. We're going to try to dissect this game as best we can for you guys. But first, I guess I'll throw out there, let's get into some matchups we're looking for. Just looking forward to seeing and that we're going to be paying close attention to throughout today's game. I'll throw one at you. I think it's one of the biggest ones. Darius Slay versus Calvin Ridley. I mean, how do you not talk about that matchup when it's probably the biggest proponent to the Eagles defense having success this season? Is Darius Slay still still corner number 1, the corner that I view him to be? That's not to say if he gets put on an island against Calvin Ridley, he should have a good day, because that's not going to be the story. But how does Darius Slay at this point of his career match up with an up-and-coming true number 1 speedy wide receiver in Calvin Ridley? You got to keep an eye on that today, because if Calvin Ridley, gets past his secondary, sneaks past his secondary a couple times and hits them for some big plays, we'll see. And George says, are we assuming he will follow Ridley around? I have no idea. I'm just saying, as far as matchups can go, he might not. Maybe Slay just plays one side of the field. Who knows? But I'm just saying, as far as corner 1, receiver 1, maybe he does follow him around. Maybe that's Gannon's best game plan he has. That's something I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, so George, he asked a great question there, because we're walking into a game where we really don't know what we're going to see. No idea. First year defensive coordinator, first year head coach. So, we got to wait and see exactly what we're going to see. But I guess what we're doing here is what we want to see, right? So for me, I want to see Anthony Harris on Kyle Pitts. I don't want Kyle Pitts to get any chance to even get going as a rookie, his first game in Atlanta. If I'm Arthur Smith, I use Ridley in the slot a lot. That's very fair, George. And they most likely will. Arthur Smith is a great coach, and that's something that we should mention. Both first-year head coaches here, Arthur Smith versus Nick Sirianni as well. But I'm keeping my eye on just who they match up with Pitts, I guess I should say. I would like to see a guy like Anthony Harris, maybe even do a little bit of Kayvon Wallace on him. But I'm paying attention to see who he's matched up with, because I don't want him matched up with linebackers. I think that's how you get him going early. He's going to blow past some guys. They can get him in the screen games, shit like that. But yeah, I'm keeping my eye on Kyle Pitts. That's kind of the matchup I'm looking at. Obviously, I'm looking at Calvin Ridley. I'm with you. I think Calvin Ridley is the more dangerous player in the offense. He's more established. He's looking to be a wide receiver one in the entire league this year, let alone just the Falcons. And he's going to get a lot of targets. So, yeah, Ridley would be the number one. And then I'm looking right to Kyle Pitts right after that. One I'll throw to you, maybe see. I'm not 100% sure with the Falcons defense. I would imagine AJ Terrell is going to match up with Devonta Smith. Is he their number one? Like, I know he's young. I know he's young, but he's got to be their number one corner, right?
I guess so. And I guess that's another matchup you can look right forward to, so we can kind of segue into that. First of all, you're 100% correct. The Falcons have two guys that you need to try to limit today. I know they have Mike Davis in the backfield, and he was a nice, replacement for Christian McCaffrey in Atlanta and in Carolina last year. The Eagles' run defense has always been pretty stellar, even when their defense, is towards the bottom of the league. I'm not too worried on that front. I'm not too worried when it comes to, what is Russell Gage. It's Ridley and Pitts. If you can, I'm not saying shut them down, but if you can limit what they do, if you can limit the big plays, limit them getting in the end zone.
The big plays is the biggest.
It's huge.
Part.
It's everything.
Not give up chunk touchdowns.
Make them earn it. Make Matt Ryan drive down the field and be successful in the red zone today, inside the 10. Don't let Calvin Ridley slip away for 45 yards.
Totally agree. I just wanted to get to my boy's comment here. This is my boy Darius down in Florida. Birds fan all the way. Said, let's go game day, baby. I know he's hyped. We used to watch the games every Sunday together here in Maryland, and that is definitely my boy. And then we do have another question here. We'll get to some of these fantasy questions later, guys.
We'll circle back around
to the preview, but definitely throw those in there. We'll get to them.
Yes,
but yeah, Calvin Ridley, he's the game breaker, right? Like he's the guy that can break the game wide open. If he blows past Darius Slay for a huge gain, guess what? The defense is on their heels the rest of the game. It opens up the running game, everything.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to let Matt Ryan get comfortable back there either.
Absolutely. As far as the Devonta Smith and AJ Terrell and those Falcons, corners and secondary, I guess that's my next matchup, right? And it's not necessarily who matches up with Devonta Smith,
right?
But how do and not just Devonta Smith, how do the Eagles' young wide receivers, how does Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, and Jalen Reagor attack this Falcons secondary? Does Sirianni use their speed today? Do they try to move the ball down the field with chunk plays? I think it's something to look at today because listen, this Falcons defense is bottom of the league. The secondary is the worst part of this bottom of the league defense, in my opinion. So attack the hell out of it. I'm not necessarily looking at Devonta Smith versus AJ Terrell, but yes, can Devonta Smith, can Jalen Reagor, can Quez Watkins create separation on their own? Can they manufacture their speed and pick up chunk plays against a poor Falcon secondary today?
It's funny you say that, man, because I was obviously doing some research yesterday, and you look at the Falcons defense. You hit it right on the nail, and I don't know if you even knew it before you said it, but they did have the worst passing defense in the NFL last year. Literally 32nd ranked passing defense. So you talk about a situation where Jalen Hurts can get comfortable in his first game of the season. His first game as like a true starter. I know we had the 4 games at the end of the season. He was thrown out there. You're just seeing what you have on your team at that point. This is his time. He's earned the starting role. This is his first start in my eyes as a true starter. Obviously, the other games will count, but I'm starting here. And this is the perfect game for him to get his feet under him, get comfortable, get some confidence. I think Nick Sirianni needs to, draw up some easy plays just to get completions early. A lot of what Doug Peterson did not do for Carson Wentz last year. But I'm just looking, it's something I was going to toss to you later on, but I'll just do it now since you bring up the wide receivers. I'm interested to see who his main targets are in that wide receiver group, because we are looking at Devonta Smith, and I think we can all agree that Devonta Smith is the most talented wide receiver on the team. He is wide receiver 1
before even playing a regular season. It's kind of where we're at here.
And so I'm looking at last year's draft, and we did take a wide receiver in the first round last year as well in Jalen Reagor. And I'm just looking to see, is he going to get both of them involved? Is it just going to be heavy Devonta Smith? Will it just be heavy Jalen Reagor? I'm interested to see which way Jalen Hurts goes, how his decisions are made. I know he loves the tight ends as well from the numbers from training camp and preseason, but I'm interested to see who he really wants to use and who he gets the ball to often in this offense, and if it's going to change every week. Because that's a sign of a good quarterback. You don't just focus on one guy, right?
Right. Ask the GOAT that question.
There you go.
It's interesting you say that. And here's a little side conversation I want to have with these wide receivers. Obviously, I'm excited for Devonta Smith to play today. Obviously, I want to see Devonta Smith go off and see why he won that Heisman Trophy at Alabama last year and see why we moved up to 10 to get him, because I truly believe he's different. The guy to watch today in this year is Jalen Reagor.
Yeah.
And I say that because there's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
It's not right. It's not fair. But let's be honest. It's the situation we're in. It's the situation Howie Roseman put him in.
Yeah.
Because you selected him. You didn't go up and get CeeDee, which, people thought was an option. We don't know if it was an option, right, to go up and get CeeDee Lamb. And you took him over Justin Jefferson, who a lot of this fan base wanted. And you see what Justin Jefferson does in his first year. Jalen Reagor, yes, he was beat up last year. Yes, the offense was stale. The wide receivers were bad. Attention to detail, the coaching of these young wide receivers, not good. But he struggled last year. And he struggled up here too. And he went to social media a lot, right? Now, apparently this offseason, he's different, right? You're seeing the catches in the preseason. And I mean, in the joint practices and in the training camp, right? And he's saying he's different. This is a huge year for him because every week you're going to hear the comparison. Every week that Jalen Reagor has 3 catches for 18 yards and Justin Jefferson has 152 yards and a big touchdown, it's not fair, but it's the reality we're in. People are going to talk about it. Oh, man, look what JJ's doing. Look what we got, right? Yeah. Can he not fold? Can he step up? Not put up Justin Jefferson numbers. He doesn't have to be Justin Jefferson, but does he not fold under that mental pressure of where he was selected and what the counterpart's doing in this city who's going and people are going to focus on? It's not right, but it's what we're in. So today, game 1, how does he look?
Yeah. Does he look like he did in the preseason, in training camp? And the other part of it, I would say there's even more pressure, not even just from his draft selection, not even just from the Justin Jefferson thing, but we just took another wide receiver in the first round in Devonta Smith. If Devonta Smith comes out here and looks like a Pro Bowler his first game, what does that say about Jalen Reagor? That puts even more pressure on him, I feel like. But I guess you could look at it on the opposite end and say it's less pressure because at least you have somebody going off and it takes the attention off Reagor. But I don't know. I just feel like coming into this, there is a lot of pressure for him. Everybody's talking about Devonta Smith, and it's like Reagor is just forgotten about, aside from that one-handed catch.
Hey, man, George has the faith here. George is saying that Reagor will put up the biggest numbers for the Eagles wide receiving room this year.
I like that call, George. That's very possible.
But that's the thing, right? And he doesn't need to do that to answer the questions.
Right. We just need to see.
Does he not fold?
Yeah.
It's something to keep an eye on. All right, let's get into our keys to victory today for the Birds, Scotty. I got a few. I'm sure you have a few, and we'll just bounce these around. Guys, continue to pour in the comments, and we'll get to as many as we can, and join the conversation with us. My number 1, this is a little different. This isn't anything they can do. This isn't anything I'm pinpointing in the game plan for a player to do, anything like that. I mentioned it, earlier this week on the Faithful Fanatics. I mentioned it on Trending for 4 Quarters, on Phil's show, our live show on Wednesday. Don't fall behind early. And I don't mean, and it's because of the ifs, the question marks I have. And I don't mean 7-0. I don't mean 10-3 early. That's not falling behind. I mean like 14 points. Yeah. I mean 14-3. I mean 14-0, 17-3, 17-6 in early in the game. Because I don't know how this team is constructed right now if they're able to play from behind and come back like that. I'm not saying they're constructed the same as the Baltimore Ravens, but Scotty, how do the Baltimore Ravens find their success? They don't fall behind early because when they do, they lose because Lamar can't pass out of it. I'm not comparing Lamar's throwing issues to Jalen's. I think Jalen's already a better passer than Lamar Jackson, and I don't even love Jalen as a passer right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're built to come from behind. And that's just a big question mark I have. So a 17-6 first half, a 14-3 first quarter, I don't think that's a good sign for the Eagles. Not that you can't overcome an 11-point deficit in 3 quarters. I just don't know if they're built to do that right now in week 1. So don't fall behind early.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm kind of on the same page with you there as far as Jalen Hurts and just the passing game in the Eagles offense in general. But my first key there is kind of similar. Just get Jalen Hurts comfortable early. I talked about it earlier. Run some screens, run some easy throws, some slants across the middle, get the ball out of his hands quick, get his feet under him. But also establishing the run, right? Like getting him comfortable in the offense. And you can't run the football if you're down by, double digits,
Exactly.
2 scores in a game. You have to pass. They're going to have to air it out.
And I don't think Jalen Hurts throwing 52 times today is a recipe.
Yeah, that's the last situation I want to see, first-year starter Jalen Hurts in his first game against Atlanta in Atlanta. I don't want to see him throwing 50-plus times, period.
Right. And George says here, biggest question, how is Hurts used design QB runs or looking for him to become a pocket passer? It's a great question that I don't have the answer to, right? It's what does Sirianni want? I would love him.
What would you do?
I love a pocket passer who has the athleticism to move. Russell Wilson type of quarterback. He's a pocket passer first, but he can extend plays. He can scramble when plays break down. He can use his legs to pick up first downs. That's what I envision and my hope for Jalen Hurts is to be. Listen, I'm not saying don't draw up any designed runs, especially in like a 3rd and 2 situation.
Yeah.
If you go 5 out, right, and you go spread formation, the line's thin, and you send him on a design run behind that offensive line, I don't hate that. But I don't love the idea of, a 2nd and 8 designed run out of the pistol for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. And just even on not only the end of turning this offense into like a quarterback run-oriented offense, but also just keeping Jalen Hurts healthy. Like that should be a number one goal as well. You don't want him running up the middle, getting cracked by, linebackers and safeties. He doesn't need all that. He doesn't need big linemen falling on him.
And I'll also throw out there, throw this to you, is that the question marks aren't about his legs or athleticism. We already know the answers to those questions. Now, I'm not saying don't use what he's good at to be successful. What I'm saying is the question marks are in his passing game.
Yeah.
So don't overload on the QB, QB draw and the design runs and not answer, because this year is about finding the answers to those questions. That's my point there.
Totally agree.
Number 2, I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball, and I'll come back to offense for my 3rd. Pressure on Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Listen, I know we can bust on the Falcons, and they're not a very good team, and their defense is atrocious. Matt Ryan is Matt Ryan. He's got some weapons. They can have an explosive offense.
Yeah.
If he will pick apart any defense if he has time in the pocket. You cannot allow him to sit back there and make clean throws, disrupt his timing, pressure up the middle. You know why I say up the middle, Scott? Because when you don't have the mobile quarterbacks, he's not a mobile quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. Javon Hargrave, Fletcher Cox, Milton Williams, if they move BG to defensive tackle for different parts of this game, pressure up the middle, because then, Ryan's not a Russell Wilson, a Lamar Jackson, a Jalen Hurts, where he's going to bounce it to the outside and extend the play. Disrupt his timing, boom, and it's the quickest way to the quarterback. So the defensive tackles are going to play a huge role in this game. Don't let him sit back there and have time to throw. Don't let, Calvin Ridley have time to go off script and get open for him, etc. Get in Matt Ryan's face, put him on his ass early in this game, and make him earn it. Don't let him sit back there and pick you apart, because it will be a long day for this Eagles defense.
Yeah, and I'll kind of just ride your coattail there with just a few players I'm looking at. Obviously, we got the BGs, the Fletcher Cox of the world. But I'm looking to these guys like Javon Hargrave, Josh Sweat, who everybody has been raving about.
Yeah.
A lot of guys on the team have said that they think Josh Sweat is going to take the biggest jump of anybody on the squad this year. So I want to see that today, against an Atlanta Falcons team that simply doesn't have that great of an offensive line. I want to see Josh Sweat getting after the quarterback. But I'm with you. I want to see Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox make that middle of the offensive line crumble. You get in his face all day, every day, early, get him shaken up. We're going to see turnovers. And I know Jonathan Gannon, he's a guy that wants turnovers. This is going to be a turnover-oriented defense. And that feeds right into the offense. If you can get short fields for this offense, that is going to be crucial, not only for this game, but throughout the season. That's just something that in the past years that we have not done well is turn the ball over. We've done it well on offense, but we have not done it well on defense.
And last year, we might have been the worst team in the league at creating turnovers.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at the numbers, but the Eagles defense did not turn teams over this year, whether it was through the air and interceptions or putting the ball on the ground and recovering some fumbles. They didn't do it much at all. I think Darius Slay had one pick, and it was in week 16 against the Cowboys late in the game.
Yeah.
So they weren't successful at that at all. That's a great point. And like you said, it's all about, you mentioned earlier, getting Jalen Hurts in a rhythm, helping Jalen Hurts. You know what helps Jalen Hurts? Getting the ball on the Falcons' 35-yard line to start a drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting the ball on the Falcons' 40-yard line to start a drive. That helps Jalen Hurts in this offense, okay?
Exactly.
My last key to the game, you can go through a lot, right? But I only picked 3. Take shots.
Yeah.
Take shots early. Attack this weak Atlanta secondary. I knew they were bad. No, I didn't know that they were 32nd out of 32 in the league last year, Scott.
Wow.
But I know they're putrid.
We have a new defensive coordinator.
Shot. I had Paul Hembo from ESPN's Get Up on the Faithful Fanatics earlier this week. One thing he said he's looking for, and I totally agree, not just taking shots. Like, 3rd and 5, I don't want to see you throwing a 50-yard sideline bomb to Quez Watkins. 2nd and 10. 1st and 10. 2nd and 2. Those, not 2nd and 10, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said. 1st and 10, 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3. Take shots. They're going to hit. They are going to hit.
Yeah.
So that's my key to the game. That's my last key to the game. Take your shots, but take them, I don't want to see a 3rd and 5 deep ball. I don't want to see a 2nd and 10 deep ball.
Yeah.
1st and 10, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, where if you don't succeed, it's a 3rd manageable situation, right?
Yeah.
If you don't get on 1st down, it's 2nd and 10. And also you got to figure with the speed the wide receivers have on this team and the poor coverage that Atlanta has, you're going to get some tugs and you're going to get some PI calls in this game if you try to stretch the ball down.
Yeah, that's very true as well. On the other side, I would guess I'll throw this to you. I also marked down just a few keys for Atlanta. Obviously, I don't want Atlanta to win.
Right.
But it's on the opposite end of the scale here. If these things happen for them, I do think they will win. But what I wrote down here is they need to get Mike Davis going. We had one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL last year after looking at the numbers. And Mike Davis, I know, he was technically a backup running back. You mentioned it. He came in for CMC last year. They need to get the running game going in general, not just Mike Davis, but getting him involved early will help out Matt Ryan. I also have marked down here, contain Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts does, I know we don't want to see design run plays, but if Jalen Hurts starts getting out of that pocket, making plays downfield, running whenever the hell he wants, they don't contain him in that pocket, it's going to be a long day for Atlanta because that's going to open up the offense entirely. Obviously, I know we don't want the design run plays as much, but I'm just looking at his natural, abilities. And if they leave that side of the field open for him to get out of the pocket, it's going to be a long day for that Atlanta defense. He can torture them. If Davis runs all over us, it's going to be a long season. Yeah, it would show signs of a bad run defense. And we saw it in the preseason. I know it's preseason, but teams were running the ball down our throats in the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I take that with a grain of salt because of what our defensive line was, what the linebackers were. It wasn't any of this first team, really.
That's very fair. Yeah.
But I'm excited, man. And that's all I got for Keys game. We could give you 11.
We could go into every single player pinpoint.
I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for today. We went Slay and Ridley matchups. How do you contain Kyle Pitts? Let's see. Excited to see Mailata and how he does now being named starter and getting paid. Yes, sir. We didn't even mention that. Jordan Mailata getting the bag here from Howie Roseman early. And I know one of the commenters here, George, is a little skeptical of it. Is it a little too early for that?
Totally understandable.
Not much of a sample. George said not going to comment. Listen, man, I don't disagree with you. George. Listen, George, I'm not comment all you want. I'm not going to disagree with you. I don't have. You're wrong.
We have no evidence.
What I'll say though is I feel like Howie did it because if Mailata goes out and balls out this year, which they're predicting him to do, the money he would expect next year
much larger
would be a lot more than the 64 million he got. You'd be upwards in the 80s, 80 plus. So that's the only, reasonable explanation I can understand for it. I'm not hating on your comments of it being too early.
And you also, you got to love that the Eagles said, you know what, we're just going to buy into our starting left tackle. Like, forget Andre Dillard. He's obviously not the future for this left tackle.
I think that's what they did, yeah.
Yeah, they went all in on Mailata. They let him know that he's going to be the starter. But at the same time, I get it, George. It is a risky situation. We didn't see him but for part of a season. And, we've seen deals like this backfire on us before. So it does give you a little bit of, anxiousness or fear that it's not going to work out. The last thing I'll throw at you guys, before we move on from the Atlanta Falcons-Eagles game, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, it's going to be interesting to see how they get involved. Both of them were heavily targeted in the preseason training camp from Jalen Hurts. He seems like another quarterback, just like Carson Wentz, that likes feeding his tight ends in the middle of the field. It's going to be interesting to see how they get involved today. If there's 12 personnel, stuff like that. And just Zach Ertz specifically. Everybody's been raving about Zach Ertz. I can't wait to see Zach Ertz that we have saw before last season. I know that Zach Ertz last season was beat up. I was not somebody that was sitting here, Zach Ertz is washed. I'm just a Goddard guy. But I'm ready.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right because I have Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown score in a game parlay today.
Monster in the red zone.
We will see. But yeah, man, that's it that I have for my keys to victory. Bill says George questioning Howie and me complimenting him. Time surely changing.
I swear that was a totally vice versa argument last year.
Me, even saying that I understand something Howie did is saying a lot from my perspective on Howie Roseman. So I digress. The last thing I have before we get into our game predictions, Scott, some Jalen Hurts predictions. I just have, what I foresee from him today. I'm not saying these are my expectations. I'm just trying to give you a prediction and see how it goes. I want to say Jalen Hurts throws for around 270 to 280 yards passing today. 2 touchdowns. I'm not saying through the air. I don't know how. I think he has 2 tutties today. And this is the biggest thing. A few late first down pickups with his legs on third downs to really break the backs of the Atlanta Falcons today, late in the fourth quarter, trying to chew away the clock. 3rd and 4, play breaks down. Boom, Jalen Hurts uses his legs a little bit later down the drive, picks another one up, game over, Atlanta doesn't touch the ball back. I think you see some of that today. What do you have for what are your, predictions for Jalen Hurts today?
So my predictions, I'm going to go kind of what I threw my money on on FanDuel. Honestly, I had him over, the 200. I think they had him set at like 240 passing yards. I have him at the 250 range. And then I'm going 2 passing touchdowns. I think we do get a couple rushing touchdowns today, but not by Jalen Hurts. With that being said, I went ahead and threw an anytime touchdown for Jalen Hurts too. But that's just on the side there. But as far as my expectations, I do think we also get the run game going today, but I see Jalen Hurts going over 250, 2 passing touchdowns. Maybe not, deep balls, maybe just sit red zone.
Go ahead, George. Throw one out there.
Drop one on us, George.
Throw one out there. 19 blocks. 19 blocks, 0 catches,
2
1
tackles.
No, I'm just messing. I hope J. Joel has a hell of a game today.
I do too.
Scotty, J. Joel's going to find his ass in the end zone somehow today, and we're going to have to hear about it all next week. He just said it. J. Joel TD incoming.
Maybe.
Jesus, help me. I mean, I'll love it. I'll love it, but I'm going to have to hear about it if it happens, man.
Hey, I will shout out George as soon as that happens. That man has been calling it for weeks.
What's going on, Dan?
Weeks, months, maybe.
All right, man, let's get into our game predictions. I've tempered my score. Is that okay? So I've lowered my score.
That's fine.
Since earlier in the week because I did have the Bucks around 31. They did get to 31, and I had the Eagles around the same. And I feel like, that's bad juju. I feel like I'm not going to be 2 for 2 if I pick the same score. So I'm going Birds win. They're both Birds. Eagles win, not the Falcons, not the ugly Birds, not the bad Birds. Eagles win today, 27-23.
Hey, so I'm very close to that score. I got the Eagles winning 27-20. So we're on the same
27.
page.
Let's see if they get to 27.
Let's do it.
But that's what I have for the Birds today. Let's go.
And one thing I want to throw before we move on from the Eagles, because I know, especially George, I know he's on the opposite end of, the Eagles winning games and stuff like that. As far as not him wanting us to win, but just his beliefs in what they can do. If the Eagles lose today, I'm not going to go to Twitter and, just throw my hands in the air. My expectations are not
tempered
on W's. It's focused on little W's within the game. That's all I'm looking for.
Quick explanation as to why I have them winning today is not just because I think, the Falcons aren't some world beater. I think the Eagles can beat the Falcons. But I also think it's highly important, not for win totals, because like I said, I don't think the Eagles are going to make the playoffs this year. Hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully they do. But as far as this team not starting 1-5 or worse, today's an important game because the first stretch of games this season is a gauntlet, dude. San Fran, Dallas on the road, Carolina on the road, which, is winnable, but still, Kansas City and Tampa Bay. You lose today, and this first 6-7 weeks gets ugly. That's why I think today is an important win for the Eagles, just as far as, momentum and everything goes. Dan is a little concerned. I think Ridley and Pitts kill the Birds today. It's a possibility, man. We have to hope
that happens. If the Falcons go over 30 points, the Eagles probably will lose.
They could win 4 or 11. I just don't care. It's about how they win or lose, not if they win or lose. Very, very fair point, George. Scotty, let's move on because, as you know, we are an Eagles-based show, but we are also covering the entire NFL here on Turf Talk. Before we get into our gambling and fantasy football section, I want to talk game of the weekend. So this is something we're going to do every week. Outside of our Eagles preview, me and Scotty are going to pick a game of the week in our opinions. Now, this week was tough. Going down today's slate of games, this was a tough week to pick, a game of the week because there's about 5 to 7 games you literally could have picked. I'm not exaggerating here.
No.
My game of the week, and I know, an AFC battle, which you could be seeing an early example of the AFC Championship game, in my opinion. Chiefs, Browns. I think, it's week 1. Maybe it's the same as Tom Brady, as I mentioned the other night. If there's a time to get to Brady, it's early in the season, week 1, when they're not, in rhythm, when Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense isn't fully, ready to go, isn't in fifth gear here. So, and it's also a testament to what this Browns team is going to look like. And Baker Mayfield, Scott, does Baker take that next step? I saw an interesting graphic the other day where Mahomes just dominate. I know they didn't win the Super Bowl last year, but as far as the AFC contenders are concerned, he dominates. They put up a list of Mahomes versus the other top quarterbacks in the AFC. Deshaun Watson was on that list. Watson's the only one to beat him one time. I think Mahomes is 2-1 against him.
That's insane.
Baker's never done it. Josh Allen has never done it. Herbert's never done. There's a couple other on the list, right? He runs wild over these teams. Today, week 1, I'm not saying it means anything to, as far as when week 15, 16, 17 rolls around, but can Baker prove early that he's taken that next step and he's ready to lead the Browns to a, Super Bowl contending, landscape? And I just think it's going to be a really fun game to watch.
Is there any world where this, I won't even say revamped Browns defense because they were pretty good last year. They're just better this year. Is there any world where the Browns defense can come out here and really put it to the Chiefs offense? Or not?
No.
Is there any world where they can, kind of hamper them down, maybe keep them under?
I think so. I think so because I think the Browns are solid at every level of defense. Yeah. I think they have a good secondary. I think their linebackers, you mentioned the other day, they even drafted JOK in this year's draft. I think their linebackers are good. And their defensive front, led by Myles Garrett, who some people think is even going to be in the MVP conversation this year. Yeah. They bring in Jadeveon Clowney. Is he healthy? Is he not? I don't know. But if he is,
opposite end of Myles Garrett, it's not going to matter. You know what I mean?
So I think they are a solid defense in every level of that defense. And I also think the Browns are built the best to beat the Chiefs. I know this is something everyone says about great quarterbacks. Keep them off the field. Establish the run so they're not on the field. You know what I mean? But I think the Browns are truly built that way. With the Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt-led backfield, they pound the ball down your throat. They can keep Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense off the field. The question, Scott, is when it's time for Baker to make that pass, to make that throw at that point of the game, will he and can he make it? That's why I think this game's so intriguing, because I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down to the end. Can Baker make the throw after Hunt and Chubb have led the way for most of the game?
Yeah, and that's it's a huge measuring stick for the Browns early in the season. They're coming in with a high expectations. I think, George mentioned it, it will be positive for the Browns either way, because even if they come out here and get smacked, now you've just been humbled. You've been lowered.
Yeah, but that's not true, because
your ego killed.
You're right. That's true. If they get smacked, okay, but what if they don't win, but they lose by a bucker, 3-second field goal, and they had the lead?
At least you can stay with the Chiefs. At least that.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not like,
bump.
Yeah, it's not like there's two ends of the spectrum here. They could play the Chiefs down to the freaking wire. Mahomes leads a game-winning drive, field goal game. That's not to say that Browns can't contend this year. They just took the Chiefs on the road to the wire. So it would have to be one extreme or the other. They win or get their asses kicked today for that to be a realization. Yeah, right, then they know they can contend. Right.
I'm with you.
All right, Scotty, what game of the week are you focusing on, and should people be focusing on in your mind?
So you mentioned there's a ton of games. I went through the list. I mean, I was looking at the Steelers, Bills, the Cardinals, Titans, as you mentioned to me in text, Chargers, even the Chargers in Washington. I think that's a great matchup. Green Bay and the Saints. But what I got my eyes on, aside from that Chiefs and Brown, I mean, that's going to be the game of the week most likely. But I'm looking at this Seahawks-Colts game, and for two specific reasons. Obviously, as an Eagles fan, I know a lot of Eagles fans may be keeping their eyes on Carson Wentz this year. One, because you just want to see how he does after he leaves Philly. And then two, our draft pick does rely on the way he plays and how much he plays. So I am keeping an eye on Indy in general throughout this season. But I'm interested to see, the Seahawks and the Colts match up. Let's see if the Colts defense – it can pick up where they left off last year. They were a great defense last year. They got, new offensive coordinator in there. How did they get Carson Wentz settled into this offense? Can Jonathan Taylor get going early against his Seahawks defense? And then on the opposite end, I'm looking at Russell Wilson. It seems like the Seahawks are kind of getting, shit on. And I'm one of the people that have done it. I had them.
Hey, man, I got them as the only NFC West team not to make the playoffs and coming in last in that.
There you go. So, they're kind of getting shit on in general, but can Russell Wilson come out here, show that he's still doing the same stuff that he's done the last couple seasons at an MVP level? And, ultimately, I do think that he can. But this would be a good marker of if the Seahawks can really compete, in that tough NFC West, because every game is going to count in that division. Every single game is going to matter. And then the other thing I'm looking at is just, that matchup. I feel like, and I may be wrong in this, but I feel like Carson Wentz has never beat Seattle, even in Philly. I feel like he's never beat the Seattle Seahawks.
No, and listen,
that's kind of something I'm looking at there.
I take full accountability and responsibility here. I was bad juju the 2019 season. I went to the 17-9 regular season loss against Seattle, and then I turned around and accepted tickets with my cousin to go to the playoff game where Carson got injured, where they lost 17-9 again. So my cousin has informed me I am never allowed to go to a Seattle game with him ever again. Being that both games were a 17-9 loss. I don't know how the hell that happens, but yeah, he's never beat Seattle. Even the crazy ass throw that everyone flashes back to
Aguilar.
when Michael Bennett was around his legs and he was falling and he throws to Aguilar when they were down like 2 scores and they cut the whatever. But he's never. I even remember the game the year that the Eagles, his rookie year, I think, when Ertz had the 70-yard touchdown and Aguilar was lined up off sides. They lost to the Seahawks that year as well. He never beats them today. But what I will say, a nice little segue here, Scotty. Well, let me touch on your game first.
Yeah.
Great game. And I'm glad you picked it because, people's eyes, the Bills Steelers is a big one. I'm literally going to draw a blank now thinking of all the games, but trust me, there's 5 or 6 that I was holy. Saints, Packers. There's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
But I view it as the Seahawks defense, I don't like at all. And even if Carson struggles a bit, I trust the Colts defense to stop Russell Wilson more than I trust the Seahawks defense to stop the Colts offense, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think this Colts defense is going to keep them in the game. I actually think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I don't think that Russ is going to put up these crazy numbers against the Colts defense in week 1 on the road. And I don't think, Carson's going to go out there and light the world on fire week 1 either. I can see like a 2017 type of game. But it's a nice little segue because Pigskin Picks, also a new segment here on Turf Talk we'll be doing every Sunday. If you guys have seen just like, the Fox pregame show, lock and an upset. Scotty and I are going to be giving our locks and upsets every week. We're going to keep score along with our Thursday night tally as well. We started the year 1-0. Thank you, Dallas Cowboys, for that one. But let's start today, and I'll just lead it off right here, dude. I like the Colts as my upset.
Okay.
I think the Colts at home, I think they are 2.5-point dogs at home to the Seattle Seahawks today. I don't like. Listen, I know people. I know people are shitting on. Let's see.
Get is funny as hell.
Exactly. George said Titans Cardinals. That's going to be high scoring. And no, again, I'm not tapping in.
I won't even look at that game.
Goddamn Tyrod Taylor and the Jags. Although I do like the Jags to cover 3.5 in that game.
Oh, just George, if you're still watching, I would love to know who you're picking out of that Titans Cardinals game as well. Just
I have no idea. I kind of like the Cardinals. I like the Cardinals.
Like the Titans and the Cardinals. So
yeah, but yeah. So that I'll start off Pigskin Picks here. My upset of the week is the Colts. The only reason I gave my upset first is because your Colts Seahawks game of the week prediction. Nice little segue. I like the Colts to win that one. Who you got as your upset for this week, Scott?
So my upset this week, and people may find this surprising, may not. I got the Steelers over the Bills, man. The
nice.
Steelers come out, make noise in week 1. I'm not a big Steelers guy. Don't like the Steelers. Don't get me wrong. I do just think they have a defense. TJ Watt just got his huge contract. Maybe he's coming out fired up, getting after the quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think 6.5 underdogs to the Buffalo Bills for the Steelers. Their defense is a lot better than that. I know. I feel like that number is coming from Ben Roethlisberger.
George says, "Wow."
Wow. George doesn't like that.
Man, I'm glad you said that for betting purposes because I did take the Steelers plus 6.5 today. I don't know that they win in Buffalo. I don't know that they win in Buffalo, but they damn sure cover the 6.5. Yeah. I hope. It's a nice little pick, dude. Never a bad thing to have the Steelers and their defense as your upset. Listen, let's get to our locks today. Sue me, guys. I took the easy way out on this one because as I do like the Colts today, I don't love them as my upset. So I at least got to go 1-1 on the week and not 0-2 to start the year. I got San Fran over the Detroit Lions. I would be surprised if Scotty doesn't share the same pick as me here. I think it's the biggest, the most lopsided start to week 1 there is. So yeah, 49ers as my lock.
I think I'm gonna have to go with you on that one just for the same reasons, be kind of safe there. The only other one that I would really look at,
you're such an idiot, bro.
Even this one isn't really like, that's why I'm not picking it. It's not a lock for me, but I'm looking at the Vikings over the Bengals. I do think the Vikings take care of business against the Bengals, but by no means is that a lock. I'm going 49ers over Lions as my lock as well, man.
All right, yeah. So me and Scotty, hopefully we're at least each 1-1 on this year. Before we get to some best bets of the day that I want to talk about, we did have a comment up above about fantasy football. No, we got to the Mostert one. Sorry.
Yeah, the one, it's a hell no for me. I think it was Josh.
It's not deleted, is it? Because I can't find it.
It was Josh. It's right here. I got it. Josh Jacobs and Judy for Kyler Murray. He said he has Henry and Montgomery and Stafford for QB.
Listen, I honestly
wide receivers.
I would do. Yeah, who are your wide receivers? If you're still watching, Javier. I love Stafford this year, both in fantasy and just in real life as well, and with that fit with the Rams. But to have both, and Kyler might be an MVP type number candidate this year. You have Henry and Montgomery. You really don't need Josh Jacobs. So, it depends what the rest of your wide receiving room looks like. If Judy's like your number 2, I'd probably ask for another
wide receiver
back in that trade.
Yeah, and I do. I'm with George here. I love Jerry Jeudy this year. I think he really shows up and shows.
Ginn says depending on the scoring.
That's very true.
I don't know if Javier is still tapped in here, but I mean, listen, from face value, I would say yeah, but it depends what the rest of your wide receivers.
Like if you could maybe if you can throw Matthew Stafford into that deal and then get a wide receiver in return with Kyler Murray as well. Like maybe throw Jeudy, Jacobs, and Stafford for Kyler and a wide receiver. I'd probably do that.
Yeah, I agree. Scott, hold on. I'm sorry. What's our fantasy score right now?
Dude, you had these 2 guys on Thursday Night Football that just went off. My God. So I'm hoping that I can somehow catch up. It is not looking good. It's not looking good. I will.
No, you had a nice performance from CD Lamb.
That's it.
But Amari proved
Cooper's 40 points, man. That's ridiculous.
And the GOAT had to drop a nice little 32.
The GOAT's gonna have that, but Amari Cooper with
the
third.
First of all, hold on. Listen, I like the rest of your team. Talking about fantasy trades though. You need to get on the phone with someone for a quarterback because Tua ain't it, my man. So for anyone that doesn't know that didn't watch our live draft, Scotty was on vacation when we drafted, and he was forced to auto draft his entire team. And he took about 17 wide receivers in the first 5 rounds. So he does have Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, CeeDee Lamb, Robert Woods.
Yeah, somehow I got Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor, luckily, but Tua isn't full.
You have 900 wide receivers.
Dude, and I even traded Robbie Anderson to Phil just to get a backup running back. And I still have 10 wide receivers on my roster. Yeah. But you look in the waiver wires, man, and I know, Tua, we don't really know what the hell he's going to do. They play New England this week. I'm not very hopeful for that. I think New England has a pretty good defense. But I'm looking down the waiver wire, and I'm like, where the hell am I supposed to go? Tyrod Taylor is the highest projected in the waiver wire right now. I'm not going anywhere near Houston. And then we got Kirk Cousins,
No, wait. Someone drafted – hold on. No. Someone drafted 2 early quarterbacks, and it pissed me off because I was going for the second one he chose. Get on the phone with whoever that was. It was one of the guests on our show, I think, one of our followers that joined the league. He took 2 early quarterbacks, and it pissed me the hell off that he did it. So get on the phone with him right there. Lastly, we're about to wrap up here on Turf Talk, guys. Going on 11 a.m., almost 2 hours till kickoff.
Got to go start pounding drinks, man.
Yes, sir. I'm fresh out of mimosa right here. Just some best bets to look over today. I'll read you guys some of mine. First of all, this might be a problem, but I wrote them down because I didn't feel like they're all bets, okay, that I have placed today. I didn't feel like going.
Are they all? Are they all Eagles, or are you across the NFL?
Oh, I'm across the NFL, brother.
Gotcha.
All right, so I do have. Shout out to DraftKings. DraftKings does have up to $25 risk-free same-game parlay today in the NFL. So I did do a little Eagles-Falcons same-game parlay. Let me see what you guys think. Scotty, what do you think here? Risk-free. How could you not do it? Ginn said he'll give you Mahomes. He'll want
give me Mahomes for what?
All right, guys, ready? Here's what I got. I got over alt spread. I got over 44.5 for the Eagles-Falcons. This one burns a little bit, but I just think he finds the end zone at some point. Calvin Ridley, anytime touchdown scorer. Dallas Goedert, anytime touchdown scorer. Matt Ryan, 250 or more passing yards. Jalen Hurts, 200 or more passing yards. Miles Sanders, 55 or more rushing yards. Devonta Smith, 50 or more, over 49.5 receiving yards. Kyle Pitts, over 29.5 receiving yards. 25 wins $650. Risk-free.
I like it.
So it's what do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-leg parlay. I didn't ask for anything crazy. I didn't ask for someone to go over 100 yards, nothing like that. Miles Sanders, 55 plus. Devonta Smith, over 49.5. It all depends if Goddard and Ridley can get themselves in the end zone, I feel like. But that's my same game parlay. outside of that, let me see here what I got for you guys. Scotty, let me know what you think of this one. I got the Steelers plus 6.5, San Fran alt spread giving 5 to the Lions, and Minnesota giving 3 to the Bengals. $55 pays out just about $300.
I like that, man. That's very possible.
And then one more that I got, over 48 for the Pitt Buffalo game. I know you talked about Pittsburgh's defense. I do like them, but I do think that game goes over 48.
I think it's going to be a shootout.
Over 47, Minnesota and Cincinnati. Two teams on offense that I think are just going to put up big numbers today. San Fran minus 5.5, Carolina minus 4. $20 pays out $202.94.
I like it.
And I got some others, but I'm not going to bore you guys with all my bets today.
I'll give you one of mine, and I went strictly Eagles based, the Eagles game. So I actually do my betting in FanDuel, so I'm sorry if we're like clashing right here. But I did have the Eagles covering the spread of the 3-point spread. I got Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. I got Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown.
Did you parlay this or did you?
Yes, I parlayed this. So I'm a small bettor as well. I'm not a real gambler. So I put $1 on this. I got Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown. Calvin Ridley anytime touchdown. Devonta Smith over 43 yards. I mean, I think that's going to be easy.
I hope so.
And I got Dallas Goedert over 41 yards as well. So I think those are types of things. Like you're looking at, even Jalen Reagor over 41 yards. He can get that in one catch in all reality, or even two catches. So I thought the wagers on the Eagles players were kind of, ridiculously low. I think once again, Jalen Hurts, they have him at the 240.5. I think he's going for at least 250 passing yards against this bad Atlanta defense. But and I think they even had Jalen Hurts rushing pretty low as well. But yeah, there's a lot to win in that game, in my opinion. I think it's going to be, a little bit of scoring going on in there. But as I said, I'm not huge into the betting game, but I definitely take all my tips from Dylan. That's for sure. Dylan and Pigskin and Phil. I get all my tips from those guys.
Hey man, I'm going out on a limb today. I wish, dude. I wish I could just go straight up and just put some higher money on one max 2, and then I'm just like, but I like this game, and look at the odds when I throw San Fran in here, and it's like it just snowballs into a shitstorm. Yesterday, dude, and I'll put. Let me see. Let me just see before we wrap up here if it'll just let me log in real quick with the fate. Yeah. All right. So, okay. I don't know if you guys can see too well, but that is all green except for one. So 5 of 6 legs hit yesterday. Tennessee doesn't cover the 3.5 versus Pitt yesterday. They had the ball on the 3-yard line and got stuffed on a 4th and 1 late in the fourth quarter. Killed me there. But that's kind of what snowballs into a big shitstorm. I just continue to throw extra legs into a parlay. That's not necessary. Don't take my gambling advice when it comes to parlays. But I think that's going to wrap up today's episode of Turf Talk. First episode of Turf Talk on NFL game day. Guys, we are less than 2 hours till the fall slate of games kick off, including our own Philadelphia Eagles in Atlanta to take on the Falcons. I got Birds 27-23. Scotty's got the Eagles 27-20. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to everyone, George, Gant, everybody that commented all throughout the show. Continue to send us your fantasy questions every week, and we will get to as many as we can.
Sure.
For myself, you can give me a follow on Twitter at DylanJD98. Give my man Scotty a follow if you haven't already on Twitter at Scotty Drowned. And of course, we are brought to you by DSM Media. So give DSM Media a follow on Twitter at DSM_media and subscribe and follow all our accounts. We are everywhere. Have a great Sunday.
We have made it way easier for you guys to find us everywhere.
Yes.
Just find us on Twitter. You're going to find our link tree in the replies to this episode. You can tap in on any social media platform that you prefer, any podcast platform that you prefer. Just go ahead and tap into that link tree.
So with that being said, have a great NFL Sunday and go Birds, baby.
Go Birds!